Impetus, Episode 101. A promo package of Episode 100 starts the show. Highlights are shown from last week's chaos surrounding the all-for-all elimination match between Team Impetus and Team Adrenaline. With Warren Jaxon making his last-minute entry into Team Impetus, highlights of the match are shown, showing every elimination. With Warren and Greg tapping out the giant known as Corruption, Team Impetus hold all the gold. Sam and Adrenaline are no longer a part of the business. The show opens with silence. Views of the arena is seen with the commentators questioning what is next for Impetus. With Team Adrenaline vanquished, who is in charge? After a minute of silence, enter Sam Pullen. A cocky Sam Pullen enters with a snigger. The commentators question why the founder of Impetus is on the show due to Adrenaline's loss last week at episode 100. Sam mocks the crowd for their obvious hatred in seeing him. He asks them if they really thought it would be that easy to get rid of him and states that this is and always will be his show. Last week was a dark day for Adrenaline, as Emerald, the Infliction, Dave Falcon and Corruption lost the all-for-all match and were sadly banished from the company. Due to the loss, Sam claims that he is a man of his word and, despite breaking his heart, he will stick to it. Adrenaline is dead. However, there was nothing in the rules stating that he would be banished. Laughing at the crowd for their ignorance, Sam claims that he owns the company and will be damned to see his dreams fail after last week. The president gets delirious, claiming that even though his former team failed, he will simply form another team of Adrenaline members and conquer the world of wrestling once and for all. Adrenaline 2.0 will consider of other wrestlers from the past. Hell, he has the money and the power to bring back such talent like Justin Eddy, Andy Orton, Andy Hardy. He refuses to lose this war. Sam continues to lose his mind until Riki Mathews enters. Riki is calm as he confronts his boss. He refuses to accept Sam's use of legal loopholes as the Adrenaline team lost, plain and simple, last week and believes that he, along with the audience, were looking forward to a new beginning of Impetus without Sam's ugly head to look at. Sam tries to rebuttal, with Riki not wanting to hear another word. Our hero has had a terrible few months, all due to Sam's lack of understanding and terrible sense of priorities. He wants to be rid of Sam Pullen. Not only does he want to rid himself of Sam's terrible business operations, but to finally rid himself of this. Riki then pulls out the familiar legal documents that were issued to him months ago. Riki explains the position he has been placed in over the last few months and how he has been made to be seen as a bad man, threatened to be sued, and even had to retire a legend of this business, all to prevent losing his house, dignity and livelihood, all thanks to Sam Pullen. Riki wants Sam gone. As a result, Riki cuts to the chase and challenges Sam to a match at the 2-year anniversary spectacular in 3 weeks. He suggests that the documents hang in the balance, as if Riki loses to the president, he will sign the legal papers, be sued and lose everything, allowing Sam to gain everything. With Sam sniggering at the thought, his smile turns to a frown as Riki states that if he beats his boss, Sam is gone, done, dead, just like Adrenaline. Sam is insulted, asking why he would jeopardize his placement in the company. Riki is happy to answer, claiming that the boss knows deep down inside that he won't win this legal battle. If Sam had any legal legs to stand on, he would have won the case by now. Not only has Riki proven his innocence multiple times, but at the end of the day, Sam is responsible for what happens in his company, period. This match is Sam's only hope, his last chance of saving himself from financial crisis, especially now that he has no team to back him up. Sam disputes Riki's harsh words, believing that his Adrenaline unit will defend him no matter what. Riki argues quickly, asking if Sam's team have even spoken to him since last week. Sam stumbles, believing his team's 7-day silence to be due to their guilt. Guilt for losing the biggest match in company history. Guilt for disappointing him. Riki ignores Sam's naivety and states that the true reason is because Sam is no longer a benefit to them. He can no longer throw money in their faces. They didn't care about the fans, they didn't care about the show, and now, without a place on the card, and without a title blinding them from their reality, they no longer care about Sam. The boss hates to hear this and has a childish tantrum, convinced that they still care. They still love and admire him, respect him for all the fame he's provided them. Right? Riki challenges Sam to the match yet again, claiming that if he's right, Adrenaline will simply ruin the match like they always do and help Sam win. He dares Sam to prove that Adrenaline aren't just money-hungry, egomaniacal henchmen, and rather loyal, trusting employees that care about Sam more than fame and money. Sam interrupts and is determined to prove his Adrenaline spirit. He accepts with anger. He warns Riki of the pain and suffering he can bring, telling him that he has a lot more on the line than just his pride. Unlike facing Greg last year, his livelihood is on the line and will not fail. The president leaves in focus, perhaps not realizing what awaits him on the 2-year anniversary spectacular. As Sam leaves, Riki tries to speak on the microphone, but fails as it has been turned off. The scene ends with Riki smacking the mic, hoping to speak. After a commercial break, Impetus returns advertising the 2-year anniversary spectacular. The 3-hour edition of Impetus is main evented by the ownership versus lawsuit match between Sam Pullen and Riki Mathews. That's in 3 weeks. Tonight, however, we hear from Greg Williams. Advertised as Greg Williams' speech, what does the retaining champion have to say about the future of Impetus? The show continues, ready for its first match. Enter Emille and Jarvis Banks. As they enter, a replay from last week's episode 100 is shown. Highlights of Jimmy Sparrow's match with Dylan Dark are shown, showing Jarvis Banks and Emille's involvement, all with Jimmy picking up the win with a Canadian destroyer on a steel chair. Enter The Essentials. Match 1. Emille and Jarvis Banks versus The Essentials. Mark and Jarvis show an impressive amount of double team moves, showcasing their new fire and tenacity from last week. They win with a unique tag move, a wheelbarrow suplex into a neckbreaker. The winners of this match, Emille and Jarvis Banks. After the match, with the Essentials already exiting, Mark and Jarvis soon follow, happy to start their new journey as a team. However, reaching the top of the ramp, the lights go out. A spotlight then appears at the center of the stage, behind the two of them. Jarvis and Mark are seen looking at each other with anxiety and slowly turn around to see Dylan Dark's Conrad Damnation mask on the floor. The rookies look back at each other, realizing that Dylan Dark has yet to be conquered. The show then transitions to the backstage hallway, seeing Sam Pullen have a conversation with Empire. Sam is pacing, texting on his phone. He is stopped by an interviewer who asks if it's really true. Will he be competing and putting the ownership of the company on the line at the 2-year anniversary spectacular? Sam hates Riki for forcing him to accept the match. Only now has he realised what he has gotten himself into. Panicking, Sam is interrupted by Corey and Blake. Empire. Empire shows sympathy to Sam and his lack of adrenaline unit. After what Impetus and Warren Jaxon did last week, they want revenge on Warren for disbanding their mentor and selfishly advancing his own career. They want to take everything from Warren just like they did to them and just like they did to Dave. Surprising the team, Sam is furious with the duo, as not only have they interrupted his moment of stress, but asks what sympathy they truly have, as they did absolutely nothing last week to help his unit survive. As a result, he tells Empire that they have a lot of bridges to rebuild, as they have disappointed their president. Sam leaves while messaging on his phone frantically, all while Empire are worried for their status. Entering for the following contest, Daria enters for a promo. Excited for a new beginning, the women's champion admits that she is entering with sadness. She kinda screwed up. She kind of helped get rid of those 3 annoying bitches called Vixen, Emerald, and Tanty. With a new start and Adrenaline no longer hogging the spotlight, she welcomes any lady at the back to step up and face her right now. And hell, while we're starting anew, why not put the title on the line as well? With an impromptu title match set to take place, Daria awaits her newest challenger. Enter Kelly Sales. The appearance of the inexperienced Kelly Sales puts a smile on Daria's face as she is happy to see her division step up. Match 2, Women's Championship. Daria versus Kelly Sales. Although showing persistence, Kelly is no match for Daria as the women's champion retains in a short yet combative contest. Winner, Daria. In a post-match segment, Daria celebrates for a moment and then exits up the ramp. As she exits, backstage footage of the gorilla position is shown, seeing Daria make her way through the area. Hearing a light applause for her victory, Daria is quickly stopped by her familiar foe, Jacinta. Jacinta wants it to be made clear that with the Adrenaline women gone, she no longer needs to toe the line for anybody. With a new beginning for Impetus, she has every intention of getting back what is rightfully hers. Daria scoffs and tells Jacinta that she may have allowed a rookie like Kelly Sales to step up, but won't allow the same for the ass-kissing, backstabbing cheat known as Jacinta. The champion claims that she had better do what every man or woman should be doing to compete for a title, and that's earn it. Daria exits with Jacinta glaring at her enemy. With the confrontation ending, we then cut to Aaron Cutler and CJ, the commentators, at their announce desk. With Daria recently defending her title, Aaron mentions how the women's title wasn't the only gold that changed hands last week, as Warren Jaxon won the Coast to Coast title for the second time. We then see a replay of episode 100 from last week. CJ complains as last week's footage of Warren Jaxon is seen. From attacking Empire to declaring himself the 5th member to Team Impetus, all the way to tapping corruption out and gaining Impetus all the gold, Warren Jaxon is the new Coast to Coast champion. A backstage interview segment is seen with Warren Jaxon. An interviewer gets interrupted instantly by the elated Warren. The all-action Jaxon talks about his journey since episode 1 and how it led him to the man he sees in the mirror today. From refusing to being seen as the underdog to becoming the coast-to-coast champion for the first time. From an extraordinary talent to a peacemaking henchman, he felt the need to prove himself as a high-tier talent from day one, creating huge chips on his shoulder. His story wasn't easy and went far longer than expected as his constant stop-start momentum made for some irritating events. Just as it seemed as though the rocket was strapped onto his ass, he, along with many others, were disappointed to see the promised explosions turn out to be a dud. It took him way too long to realize that all he needed to succeed was himself, and after episode 100 and joining Team Impetus, he finally figured that out. Episode 101 begins the true version of Warren Jaxon and how he will prove to be better than he was before, better than an Adrenaline lackey, and far better than Dave Falcon ever was. Not only will he prove this by outperforming Dave Falcon, but by outlasting his title reign of over a year. That's right, Warren promises to be champion for far longer than Dave's world title reign. After the interview, we are ready for more action. Enter Barry the Bogan with Wazzy D. Enter Johnny Fabuloso with Terri Delighta. As Johnny enters, still with his mask on his face, Terri Delighta's recent Twitter post is shown to the audience, claiming that he has a huge announcement to make after Johnny destroys his opponent tonight. Match 3. Johnny Fabuloso with Terri Delighta versus Barry the Bogan with Wazzy D. With Barry in control, he stands and leans on the ropes to rest. However, the moment of recovery is stopped as Terri turns him around, attempting to spray his eyes with the hairspray. This plan fails as Wazzy saves his partner by throwing Terri off the apron and sends Terri over the announce desk onto CJ's lap. With Wazzy busy talking trash to the stylist, Johnny takes advantage of the distraction and hits the no alibi on Barry, getting a tainted win. Winner, Johnny Fabuloso. But Johnny isn't done there, as he enters himself into a post-match promo. As the gangster and Aussie leave with irritation, a pained Terri makes his way back in the ring, microphone in hand. He speaks of his determination and dedication to Johnny Fabuloso, not just with his appearance, but his career. Terri looks into Johnny's eyes and tells him that it's time. It's time to elevate their relationship to the next level. It's time to solidify their partnership into a bigger commitment. Johnny is speechless and happy as he witnesses Terri drop to a knee. Terri asks for the honor and the privilege to be Johnny's manager. Johnny is elated and accepts. No longer will Terri be a simple hairstylist, as now he grabs Johnny's wrestling and modeling career and turns it into a global juggernaut. Not only will Johnny's mask be coming off soon, not only does he know what's hot and what's not, but he can talk the talk and has the most beautiful model in the world to walk the walk. It's time we take Johnny from the hottest wrestling star to the hottest person on the planet ever. The two hug in the ring and walk off hand in hand, celebrating their new career goals. After the fabulous speech, up next we hear from Greg Williams. What does the retaining champion have to say about the future of Impetus? After a commercial break, we see a replay from moments ago in the backstage hallway concerning Sam Pullen and Riki Mathews. The future opponents are arguing with fury. Riki hopes to make a point, only for Sam to yell over him, throwing a curveball. Still owning this company, Sam can do whatever the hell he wants to Riki Mathews. As a result, Sam demands Riki to compete tonight against Empire. Sam exits, with Riki venting his irritation with the president's typical actions. Greg Williams enters for a promo. Still the World Impetus Champion, Greg Williams enters with surprising impatience. He grabs the microphone instantly and claims that he thought last week would have put this company back on track. He, thanks to the help of El Fuego, Daria and Warren Jaxon, finally destroyed the Adrenaline team, kicking their asses out of this business for good. However, 1 week later, when he expects the world to go back to normal, he hears and sees Sam Pullen doing what he always done, being a blatant pile of crap. Greg stops himself and realizes that this is actually none of his business, as it is now Riki Mathews' responsibility. Greg is sick of having his title revolve around Sam Pullen and can't wait to see the president's head get kicked in at the 2-year anniversary spectacular. But he kind of wants to know who he'll be defending his title against as well. Before any old dumbass walks through that curtain, Greg wants the guys at the back to know that whoever challenges him should be a man who has gone through hell, a man who has had a rough ride and is determined to prove themselves, just like he did. He won't accept any old slacker to compete for his title, and won't accept any old phony just like the Adrenaline guys who have held it in the past. With Greg continuing his demands, he gets interrupted by Jimmy Sparrow. Enter Jimmy Sparrow. With CJ shocked to see the little boy known as Jimmy Sparrow enter, Aaron reminds us all of his amazing fight that he had with Dylan Dark last week. Before Jimmy speaks, Greg questions why Jimmy is even out here, reminding him that he got helped by 2 guys, got a steel chair and a win literally handed to him last week. If Jimmy thinks he's in any position to ask for a title match, he's got another thing coming. Jimmy understands Greg's hostility and claims that the help he's received is actually why he's out here. He's well aware of the help that he's been given, not just last week, but in his entire career. Greg may be sick of Sam revolving around him, but Jimmy thinks the same way about Greg. With the champion confused, Jimmy explains. Jimmy's first ever match in Impetus was against Greg Williams. Greg brought him into the company. Not only that, but Jimmy won the Vitality match from months ago, granting him a world title match, all thanks to Greg Williams. At the Raise Hell pay-per-view, Jimmy faced a giant known as Corruption. Despite showing his determination, heart and soul, it seemed his dreams would have turned to nightmares, but by the helpful knee of Greg Williams, Jimmy became the champion. Sure, he may have been stripped of the title the following week, and sure, it may not be official, but for an entire week, Jimmy wore the very gold that Greg wears around his shoulder, all thanks to Greg Williams. That is why Jimmy is out here. Not to ask for help, but to ask for a one-on-one match. To prove that after all he has gone through the last couple of months, he doesn't need help anymore. To prove that he can be champion, not by the help of Greg Williams, but by beating Greg Williams. Greg is impressed, and after a moment of silence, is happy to accept the challenge. He wants to see how much Jimmy has learnt since the Vitality match. However, he tells Jimmy that if he accepts the match, he wants to see a focused Jimmy Sparrow, not this scared and worried Jimmy that we've been seeing for the past few weeks. If Greg is going to defend his championship at the 2-year anniversary spectacular, then he wants to face the very best of Jimmy Sparrow, showing no signs of distractions, not allowing Dylan Dark or anybody else to get to his head. Jimmy thinks with caution and is asked by Greg if they have a deal. Jimmy snaps out of his internal conflict and accepts, offering a handshake. Greg stares at it, looks to shake it, only to raise his hand to Jimmy, threatening him with a strike. Jimmy flinches slightly, intimidated by the cocky Greg. The challenger exits the ring, irritated and embarrassed, while Greg points to his head, telling Jimmy to focus. Still to come tonight, the main event. It's a 2-on-1 handicap match between Empire and Riki Mathews. However, up next, the Firewall returns. El Fuego bring back the Firewall. After a commercial break, we return advertising the 2-year anniversary spectacular. In the 3-hour edition of Impetus, the ownership versus lawsuit match takes place between Sam Pullen and Riki Mathews. Also on that night, just announced, the World Impetus Championship will be on the line as Greg Williams defends his title against Jimmy Sparrow. After the promotion, scenes of the backstage hallway between Daria and Jackie Sky is seen. In her casual clothes, Daria walks through the hallway only to be approached by Jackie Sky. The two have a friendly conversation until Jackie jokes around, telling the champ to keep the title warm for her. Daria is surprised and excited to hear Jackie's motivation. Throwing a jab of her own, Daria claims that she is looking forward to seeing Jackie step up in the women's division, as opposed to being nothing more than an innocent piece of bait for Charlie Finch to kick in the head. Beaten in the game of banter, Jackie looks forward to seeing Daria in the ring soon. Jackie exits with Daria looking at her title in deep thought. Promo: The Firewall. Enter El Fuego. The new tag team champions celebrate their title win from last week. Elated to be holding the gold, they waste little time as they bring back the Firewall, ready to put their titles on the line against an unknown team. As the virtual computer scrolls through random teams, the quota are revealed. Cynthia looks at Licio in confusion, asking why he hasn't updated the system yet. The Mexicans comedically argue until Cynthia moves on, telling Chris Vortex and Steven Dreadful to come on down. Enter the quota. Chris Vortex and Steven Dreadful take a while to enter together. They look at one another on stage and accept each other's reunited company, all with our commentator, CJ, hating the reformation. Match 4. The Tag Team Championships are on the line as El Fuego defend against the reformed Quota. As Chris gets beaten down by the high-flying skills of El Fuego, Aaron asks why CJ is so against the Quota's reformation. CJ answers, claiming that Steven is a league above Chris's. He moans about Vortex's vegan personality and how Steven deserves and always did deserve a better partner than him. Every time Dreadful gets tagged in, CJ cheers for him. El Fuego's fire is still too much to handle though, as they pin Chris Vortex after hitting the Fireball Tag Team finisher, retaining their titles. Winners: El Fuego. With the Tag Team Champions exiting, Steven is seen lifting up his fallen partner, only to drop him with the Arrival. Turning on his partner, Steven shoves lettuce down Chris's mouth. Steven exits with CJ supporting the actions. We then cut to the locker room backstage, featuring Daria, Courtney, and Angel. As Daria is seen talking to Kelly Sales, she is confronted by the cocky immunity members of Courtney and Angel. With Kelly leaving, Daria assumes that she's going to be told that she is somehow weak, how she is a disgrace to the women's division, and how she needs to be cured, blah 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 blah. Courtney disagrees, stating that Daria has proven to be a great champion. However, she believes that the entirety of the women's division has softened since Adrenaline's demise. Angel claims that if she were to compete against Daria, she hopes to change the weak atmosphere around here. Daria is happy to call Angel's bluff and shocks the two of them, gladly challenging her to a match next week. The girls are shocked as Daria can't wait to see how strong and powerful they are without immunity by their side. Daria leaves with cockiness as immunity are worried. We then cut to another backstage scene, this time in the hallway, featuring Jimmy Sparrow, Mark Emille, and Jarvis Banks. A frantic Mark and Jarvis have already approached Jimmy, begging for help. They ask for guidance in how to deal with the condemnation mask seen earlier this evening. Jimmy attempts to calm them down, trying to convince himself that Dylan is just trying to play mind games. With other things to think about, Jimmy walks into his own locker room, leaving his confused allies to ponder. With Jimmy seen trying to settle himself in his locker room, the lights go out, only for another spotlight to be seen. The light then shines on a nearby bench, showcasing the condemnation mask. Jimmy is seen in fear, trying his best not to be fazed. Back to the ring, the following contest is scheduled for one fall. Enter Jacinta. Hoping to rebuild her own career without Adrenaline, Jacinta is ready for action. Enter Skar. After a motivating discussion with the women's champion, Skar hopes to prove herself. Match 5. Jacinta vs Skar. Winner, Jacinta. As Jacinta exits up the ramp with Delighta, an advertisement for next week's episode is seen. Next week, Gary Federline returns. After missing out on episode 100, the previously injured Gary Federline hopes to regain his momentum. And next week, a 2-on-1 handicap match will be seen between Empire and Greg Williams. Will the president ever stop his unfair treatment? And speaking of unfair treatment, up next, another 2-on-1 handicap match will take place, featuring Empire and Riki Mathews. During the break, a promo package of Skar is seen. Highlights of last week's Riverbank match is shown, with Skar and Susan defeating their stalker, Dominic Silva, by throwing him into the riverbank, hopefully never to be seen again. Next week, the siblings return to action as they are ready to continue their lives together as a solid unit. After the promo package, the main event is set to take place. Enter Riki Mathews. Anticipating his match with the president in just 3 weeks' time, Riki hopes to rid himself of Sam's resident ass-kissers known as Empire. Enter Empire. A replay from earlier tonight is seen during their entrance. Footage of Empire's discussion with Sam Pullen is shown. With the president furious at their lack of effort from last week, Empire hope to get in his good books by defeating Riki Mathews right now. Match 6, the main event, 2-on-1 handicap match, Empire vs Riki Mathews. Empire ground Riki for most of the contest, sending a message to Warren Jaxon in the process. With Riki fighting back, he attempts to hit the mat attack, only to be countered with a double team move by the opponents. Finding it hard to keep the passionate Riki Mathews down, Empire decide to continue their 2-on-1 attack, ignoring the official's ruling. With the official shoved to the side multiple times, they try their best to keep Empire away from Riki. However, Corey and Blake strike down the official, causing a disqualification. Winner, Riki Mathews by disqualification. Despite the match being over, Empire continue their assault after the match, refusing to care about the rules. Setting up for the Thunder from Down Under, enter Warren Jaxon. Jaxon storms to the ring and tackles Corey to the floor. However, it doesn't take too long for Blake to help out his partner. Empire continue their attack on both Riki and Warren, leading to Sam Pullen storming down the ramp, furious with his enemy's rebellion. Enter Sam Pullen. The president yells at the babyfaces, all while they are held by Empire in opposite corners of the ring. The president talks trash to both men, eventually getting in the face of Riki and slapping him multiple times. Before Sam makes any other actions, enter Greg Williams. The world champion storms down the ramp and slides in the ring, witnessing Sam escape from him just in time. With Greg glaring at his boss, Empire attempt to attack him from behind, only for the rebel to reverse, striking down the duo. As the president looks on while exiting up the ramp, he witnesses Empire get hit with Greg's Gordo Cutter, Riki's mat attack, and Warren's overdrive to end the show. Our heroes have made it clear that this is the new Impetus and are more than ready for a change of management.